everyone, welcome to my channel. It has been a long time since I've just done a YouTube video. And we're going to be doing an awesome video today where I talk about a tax software that I've found to be absolutely accessible for me. If you guys aren't aware, my name is Taylor Arndt and I'm a blind bookkeeper, soon to be tax preparer. And I've been blind since birth, and I've started to get into the financial industry with bookkeeping as well as hopefully soon going to be a tax preparer. But one of the battles that I've had to fight is that none of the software for a professional is actually accessible for me who uses a screen reader, right? I use a screen reader which basically helps read the content of the screen aloud. And none of the professional options are accessible. And I actually talked about this in my new podcast, which I'll link in the description, called Book Site. You guys should check it out. But I happily have an update for y'all. And I found a new software yesterday called UltimateTax. And I'm happy to say that UltimateTax is the most accessible tax software by far that I've found. It's a cloud-based software, at least the version that I'm going to use. And all the form fields and everything are labeled perfectly. There's a few areas that need improvement, so if you are watching this UltimateTax team, go ahead and take out a notepad, take out some kind of issue tracker for your developers, and start writing some issues down. There's a couple areas that need improvement, but overall, it's a great product, and I want to be able to highlight that in this video. So we're going to go ahead and prepare a live tax return today on camera. Of course, I'm not going to use any real data. I'm just going to use a fictional tax return that they have for us in the software. But it's going to give us a really good idea of how the software works for someone who is blind or someone who is not blind. And maybe you want to check out UltimateTax for yourself. I know I've been stirring up tax Twitter all day today. I know if you guys are in the Facebook and Twitter groups, you guys have seen that I've been all over tax Twitter talking about UltimateTax. And I've gotten a lot of comments back about how people are upset with other providers and they want to switch to UltimateTax because it's accessible and they care so much about that they are thinking about switching their entire tax practice to UltimateTax because they care about their people. And I think that is absolutely amazing. Of course, me being one of the only blind financial people in terms of tax preparer and others, I feel like I'm making waves, and I really appreciate that people are willing to listen. So I just want to put that out there. So if you guys aren't familiar with tax Twitter, I'll put a link in the description. But if you guys are into taxes, y'all should check tax Twitter as well as the new tax Twitter Facebook group. So yeah, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a live tax return. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually be sharing my screen reader the entire time so that you guys can hear how UltimateTax interacts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. All right. So I did some due diligence, and I'm already logged into UltimateTax. So this is a demo user. And really what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to the section that says Practice Returns. And I'm going to go find the Return 1. So it just says Return 1. And I'm going to click on it. It's a PDF, and it just kind of explains what we're going to be doing. Now, I want to say something right now. I am in no way a trained tax preparer yet. Right? I'm not an EA. I haven't had any tax training. And the purpose of this video is not to prepare a correct tax return. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate the software and how accessible it is, and maybe some areas that need improvement. So if I mess up some kind of tax returns, right? If I mess it up, yeah, go ahead and comment because I always want to learn more. But of course, this is not the purpose of the video. The purpose of the video is really to talk about the accessibility. So I just want to throw that out there, and that I'm not a professional tax preparer yet. I want to be, but in order to do that, I need good software. So just a little heads up. So again, if I do something wrong, feel free to call me out, but just know that this is not the purpose of the video. So with all that disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and find some practice returns, shall we? So a typical way that I navigate a web page is I actually use headings. So headings kind of are semantic structures on a web page, and I can navigate pretty easily. I'm just going to navigate by headings here.
Clickable buy UltimateTax for the 2022 filing season heading level 2.
So I can buy UltimateTax.
IRS links heading level 3.
IRS links.
Returns heading level 3.
Returns.
Table with 5 column 2. Column 3 visited link solution 1. Column 1 visited link return 1.
So here are the practice returns, and before I do that though, I just want to give a little bit of a demo of how this works, just so you guys can hear how accessible it is. But that's kind of a navigational tip, right? I just use the heading commands, but let's go ahead and start from the top and see how accessible this is. Let's see how things read, and I can tell you what I think about it.
Out of table graphic logo.
Graphic logo, that's just their logo. I assume that's fine.
List with 6 items dashboard.
Dashboard, pretty easy to understand.
Clickable tax returns.
Tax returns.
Clickable mobile returns.
Mobile returns.
Clickable e-filing.
E-filing.
Clickable reports.
Reports.
Clickable conversations.
Conversations.
Out of list tax year 2021.
And then it says tax year 2021.
Administrator.
Administrator, which is the username for the demo.
Clickable.
And then it has a clickable. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I don't think it's that significant. It just reads as clickable. Maybe an icon.
Link send ideas.
Send ideas, so that's maybe for feedback.
Clickable link skip navigation.
Skip navigation, always very helpful for screen readers. Just a little bit of a feedback, UltimateTax. You may want to put that at the beginning so that it comes to the DOM first, right? The document object model. So if you guys are watching this from UltimateTax, that way the skip to main content is before all of your other links. Just a little accessibility tip here.
Dashboard. Getting started.
All right, dashboard, getting started.
Button new return.
New return, so I can go ahead and hit the new return button.
Button open return.
Open return.
Button check return status.
Check return status.
Button print checks.
Print checks.
Button print accepted returns.
Print accepted returns.
Button setup assistant.
Setup assistant.
Title. Visited link graphic all returns all returns.
All returns.
Link graphic rejected returns rejected returns.
Rejected returns, rejected returns. I'm not sure why it's reading that twice. Again, something that maybe needs to be hidden or that kind of thing. So if you guys are watching this again, feel free to take some notes.
Link graphic e-filing center e-filing center.
E-filing center.
Visited link graphic report center report center.
Report center.
Link graphic print checks print checks.
Print checks.
Link graphic solution center solution center.
Solution center.
Heading level 2 by UltimateTax.
By UltimateTax.
Heading level 2 for the 2022 filing season. Link by online 1040. Link by PPR.
By PPR, that's pay per return.
Visited link try the walkthrough demo.
Try the walkthrough demo. I'm not going to go ahead and do that because it's a long tutorial, but I can tell you that tutorial was completely accessible for me as a blind user, which is always a great start.
Do you need help? Link sales 866 686 7211.
Do you need help? Awesome.
Link sales at UltimateTax.com. Visited links stuff to 405.
I'm not sure what that link is, so maybe that needs to be labeled better.
2021 demo.
Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of the interface, right? We have an idea of how this works. So we have an idea of it's pretty accessible. There's a couple things that could be improved. But let's go ahead and now find our tax returns. So I'm just going to go to returns.
IRS links heading level 3. Returns heading level 3. Table with 5 column 2. Column 1 visited link return 1.
I'm going to click on return 1.
Chrome Taylor, person 2.
All right, so what are we doing? Let's see what kind of brief we have. And again, I'm going to be reading this with my screen reader. It's just a PDF brief. But I just kind of want to know what kind of return are we going to be preparing for us today.
UltimateTax page number /2 button zoom buttons button rotate button double button print button more actions.
Here we go.
Clickable tab selected tab thumb blank page 1 landmark copyright 2021 CCH Incorporated and / its affiliates. All rights reserved. In this scenario, you will practice the following: information about the primary taxpayer, available documentation, black square 1 social security card,
Okay.
black square 1 form W2, black square select filing status, black square enter form W2 information, black square enter student loan interest, black square complete file information. Name John Ammons. SSN 101XXXXX. Use your company's EFIN in place of XXXXX.
I don't have an EFIN yet because I'm so new to this that because I wanted to make sure that I could actually file taxes before I got an EFIN, that I don't have an EFIN as of yet. So we're just going to kind of make up a sequence of numbers. Because I don't have an EFIN, we'll just go ahead and use a random sequence of numbers. Again, because I'm such a new tax preparer and I want to make sure that everything works before I invest in getting EFINs and things, I didn't do anything yet because the first thing I did is make sure I could have a software that works for me.
Birth date September 25th, 1978.
All right, so we got birth date.
Address 623 Miller RD, Rome, got 30,165.
Okay.
Primary telephone 706. 5 occupation, bookkeeper. Black square John is not married and has no children.
Okay, so John is not married and doesn't have any children. Okay.
Black square John began paying back his student loans. This year he would like to know if he could deduct the $250 he paid in interest.
I think he can deduct that, but again, this is not a tax training video as I'm very new to this.
Black square received $1,400 for the economic impact.
Received $1,400 for the economic impact payments.
Payment. Black square John wants to e-file the return. His PIN is 10,001 and he would like to receive a paper check if he gets a refund.
He would like to e-file the return and he would like to receive a paper check for his refund. Again, we're not going to be going that far, but that's just always great information to know.
Additional items to note. Graphic unlabeled graphic.
Additional items to note. Now, here's a thing that I would recommend UltimateTax to improve on. There is a graphic that says unlabeled. And in that graphic, it's basically not even labeled properly for the screen reader. So I can't read what's in that graphic. So if you want to make this accessible, which I really highly recommend, then try to get this text in an accessible format so that I can be able to read everything that is presented. So just a little bit of a tax/accessibility note there is that there could be more information that I don't have. Alright, so I think I have an idea of what we're going to do. Now again, I'm just going to kind of make up some numbers and just show you guys how it works. So, let's go ahead and get a new return going, shall we?
Mute, currently unmuted, document. 21 UltimateTax
All
demo.
right.
Out of table.
So I'm going to find my new return button.
Clickable new return button.
Here we go.
New return document. Table. Row 1, column 2. Social security number. Edit enter taxpayer identification number.
Social security number. I'm going to go ahead and enter that return social security number in my document. I'm just going to go
UltimateTax plus. Additional items to note.
tab.
Button, ultimate page slash button zoom button button button.
I gotta go back to the
button,
top.
tab, select
Actually, I
some.
can just search SSN.
SSN. Page 1 landmark name. SSN 101. SSN 1 dash select XX selected. XX dash unselected. 101.
So I'm just gonna do.
Mute currently unmuted. Alt plus A button. Audio settings drop down
Let's
button.
see.
Dot 21 ultimate. Line. Dash 1 dash line. 1 2 dash line. 5 6 7 blank.
Again, I just made up a random SSN.
Row 2 confirm social security number. Edit confirm taxpayer identification number.
So you hear how these read very well, right? It says confirm SSN, so I exactly know what I'm doing.
100.
I'm just gonna copy this from this other field.
Line.
Oh, I can't do that. Okay.
100 0 1 till 0 1 selected. 1 2 dash. Row 2 1 0 1 2 100 0 1 dash 1 2 dash 5 6 7
5
1
6
dash
6
line.
7.
6 5 6 7 blank.
Okay.
Start a new return radio button check 1
And I'm
of 2.
gonna start a new return.
Select the radio button check start a new social security edit protected 11 bullet. Confirm social edit protected 11 bullet radio button alt plus I go to interview button alt plus T go to tax forms.
And there's two different modes that you can do with UltimateTax. There's interview and forms. Now, I've found that the interview mode is a lot more accessible for blind users than the forms mode by far. Later on, when we do our tax return, I'm going to show you guys how forms mode and how inaccessible it is because it's pretty bad. So we'll get to that later on, but the interview mode is what I'm going to start with, and that's a really great mode if you're a new tax preparer. And it's a very accessible mode, and it works very flawlessly. So let me go ahead and demonstrate.
Radio button alt plus T go to tax forms.
And it has very great keyboard commands, Alt plus T and Alt plus I.
Alt plus I go to interview. Unavailable go to interview.
Here we go. Let's go to interview mode.
Update password. Alert this dialog is not currently focused.
I don't want to update the password, so shut up. There we go. And we're at our interview mode. So let's go ahead and do this. All right. So
Clickable list with 6 items dashboard.
let me go ahead.
Clickable please choose.
I'm going to press H for headings.
Radio button not check heading level 2 please choose your client's filing status.
Client's filing status.
Radio button not check single.
Single.
Checked.
Make sure that it's right, but I'm pretty sure
Document.
it's single.
Name John Hammond SSN 1 name black square enter student loan interest. Black square enter form W2 information. Black square select black square 1 form W2. Black square 1 social security card. Available documentation. Black square
I'm
enter
just
space.
reviewing the brief. That's something I always do when I prepare tax returns. Is I've got the client information here, and then I've got what I need to do tax software. That way I can make sure I'm doing the right thing. Because this is a real scenario, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly.
Black's name John SSN 100 birthday September address 620 primary telephone 7 black square John began paying back his student loan this year. He would like to deduct the 200. Black square received 1,000 payment. Black square John wants to e-file a return 10,000 check if he gets a real 10 black payment. Black deduct the 200 this year. Black square John began paying back. Black square John is not married and has no children.
Not married, no children, so he's single.
21 ultimate heading level 2 radio button check single. Radio button not check qualifying widow with dependent child.
And you hear how accessible these options are, right? You can hear that these are very accessible, and I know what ones to select.
Button help heading level 2 additional fees or discounts.
I'm not exactly sure what this section does, so if any UltimateTax users understand what this does, let me go ahead and, put in the comments. I'm not going to go ahead and give them discounts or fees.
Insert a table with 3 rows, column 2 fee. Row 2, column row 3, column 2 edit 0.0 out of table link alt plus N next.
I'm going to do Alt plus N for next. So we just entered his filing status, and it's going to refresh the page. And we can get our next question. Maybe.
Graphic no next heading. Clickable list with 6
Okay,
items
here we
dashboard.
go.
Out of list. Clickable now let's collect your client's personal information. Heading level 2.
Let's collect my client's personal information. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to enter everything as I saw it in my little
Taxpayer's name. Salutation combo box collapsed. Required edit. Auto
sheet
setting.
here.
21 ultimate. Occupy primary tele address 600 birthday. So SSN 1 name John Hammonds. John. Name John's Hammond select. Copy the
Copy and paste
21
my
ultimate.
friend here, y'all.
S blank. Middle initial edit as autocomplete blank.
Um,
SSN 1 name John Hammonds.
I don't have an SSN or a middle initial, so I'm just going to put H. I don't know.
H.
Making stuff up.
Last name edit as autocomplete blank. Required. Blank. Hammonds. Hammond
Oh,
selected.
you know what? I put everything in one
Unselected.
line.
Last
Let
name.
me fix
S.
that.
Hammonds. H. 101 12 56 67 row 5 column 2. Taxpayer social security number edit selected 1. 10 dash 2 dash 667 blank.
And it automatically filled in the social security number, which is a very good help.
Row 7 required edit selected. Taxpayer's date of birth required edit slash slash.
Date of birth
Ultimate
is
SSN 1 birthday September 25
9/25.
1978.
Yeah.
21 ultimate. 0 line 9 line select 2 line selected insta 5 line selected line 1 line 9 line selected line select 6 line selected line 6 7 line selected 8.
That is a pretty accessible software. Let's try that again. That is pretty accessible how I enter the birth date. It works pretty well. I understand how many fields I have left, and it just replaces all the placeholder text with my actual input.
Worker 09. Taxpayer's occupation. Edit selected worker.
I'm going to put
R.
bookkeeper.
O-O-K. K-E-E-E-R. Bookkeeper. O-O-K-K-E-K-E-K.
I'm going to type.
Row 11. Taxpayer's date of death. Edit selected.
Date of death, we don't know the date of death because he never died, so that's a good thing. So we're just going to leave that blank.
Selection removed. Row 14. Taxpayer's email address. Edit as autocomplete blank.
Email address, I'm just going to put...
UltimateTax. SSN birthday.
Mix.
Address 620. Primary telephone. 7 occupation. Book black square. John is not married.
Okay, we don't have an email address, so I'm just going to put test at test.com.
Was the ITC previously disallowed?
EITC, I'm just going to put no. Again, this is not a real tax return, so I don't think he had any problems with EITC before.
Radio button not checked. No.
No.
Blank. Link alt plus T. Link alt plus N next.
Next. And again, very accessible. Very, very accessible, actually. Okay, so
21 Ultimate Tax Demo.
let's see what we've got here.
Clickable list with 6 items dashboard. Clickable was the taxpayer's home in the United States for more than half of the year for 2021. Heading A.
Taxpayer's home in the United States, of course.
Where does the tax radio button check yes?
Yes.
Radio button not check no. Link alt plus P preview. Link alt plus N next.
Next. You see how smooth this is, right, y'all? It's very smooth. I'm doing a very good job. It's just answering questions and moving on. Again, if you look at the forms mode, though, that's not as accessible.
Clickable is taxpayer's address. Heading level 2.
Taxpayer's address.
Required. Edit. Zip code. Required.
Let me go copy this on my sheet.
Occupation. Bookkeeper. Primary telephone. 7 address. 626 Miller's RD selected. Copy the flip. 21 Ultimate Tax Demo. Space. Blank. Space. Comma. RD. Blank. Row 2. Column 2. Zip code. Edit as autocomplete selected.
Code.
Ultimate. Rome. Scott. 30,000. Copy the
Right,
21 Ultimate
see.
Tax Demo. Column 2. Zip code. Line selected. Line. Free select. Line
Oops.
selected. Free line dash line selected. Line 30. Line.
I don't think that actually
select.
worked. Let me
Ultimate
try that
select.
again.
30,000 space. Free 01 till 65 carriage returns to care 5 select.
Again,
Copy the
sometimes
21 Ultimate
things
Tax
don't
Demo.
work
1040
well.
individual. Admin group.
Whoops.
33. Line select. Line free.
Get rid of that crap.
Line selected. Free unselected. Line free.
Now,
Clickable link direct deposit. Link results.
hold on.
What is taxpayer's address? Heading required. Edit 600 required. Edit.
Now, tip here, Ultimate Tax, is I understand that you don't want to maybe allow copy paste for security reasons, but actually, if people are preparing taxes who have disabilities, copy and paste can actually be a very good thing. So in this field for the zip code, I can't actually copy and paste anything. So maybe it would be wise to have a way to copy and paste, or to allow that if it's disabled. Just as a little tip, because again, it just makes our lives a little bit easier. Just to make sure we don't mess up any of the data.
City. Required. Zip code. Required. Edit.
Okay,
Table.
3.
Free. Line
I'm
selected.
going to
Line
look at my
selected.
sheet.
Select 6 5 6 1 0 3
Okay.
0 1 6 5.
0, 1, 6,
21 Ultimate Tax Demo. 0 1 6. No next edit level 4. 21 clickable. City. Required. Edit. Zip code. Required. Edit.
3.
2. Line. Free. Line select. Line. Free. Line select 0. Line selected. Line select 1. Line selected. Line selected instead 6. Line select 5. Line selected. Line dash 5 6. 1 select. Zip code. Required. Edit 30,165. City. Required. Edit.
Okay, there we go.
Ultimate Tax Got 30,000 Got Rome selected. Space comma selected. Comma
Get
select.
rid of that
Copy
comma.
21 Ultimate Tax Demo. 1040 into blank. 21. Clickable space. No next edit field.
Ah,
Graphic logo.
it
Clickable.
kinda
Required.
jumped
Edit
around me.
30,100 required. Edit Rome. Required. Edit Got. Heading level 2 phone numbers. Taxpayer. Daytime phone. Phone number edit.
Okay, phone number.
Table. Primary telephone. 700 telephone. 7 5 dash selected. 1001 selected. Copy the 21 Ultimate Tax Demo. 10 4. Line selected. Line select. Line select. Line.
Again, in the phone field,
Ultimate
same idea.
500 706. 21 Ultimate Tax Demo.
706.
6 line 7 line selected 0 line select 6 line selected line select Ultimate 706 right pair space 5 21 Ultimate
555.
Tax Step 5 line line
That's
selected
easy
line
to remember.
primary tele dash 1001 21
1001.
Ultimate Tax Demo 1040 individual 1 line select 0 line selected 1 phone number edit as autocomplete selected evening phone number edit submenu as autocomplete 706
Now,
evening phone
it says phone number again for the label. You heard it read with my screen reader. Maybe I would add where it says evening phone for the label of that field. That might make it a little bit more clear. So that could be more helpful.
phone number edit submenu as mobile phone number edit
Okay, I'm just going to enter in one phone number.
link alt plus and next
Next. Okay, let's see what we got next. Also, I've just kind of noticed it takes a while for it to load.
21 Ultimate Tax Demo 1040 individual clickable stolen item please provide the requested information from the driver's license or state issued
Okay, so for this one,
card table with 7 column 2 taxpayer
again, I'm not going to enter in all this information because I don't have his ID number. Maybe it's one of those pages that are not accessible to me, but since I don't have it, I kind of just have to wing things. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to put there's no state ID or driver's license just because I don't have the numbers.
Row 2, column 1, select 1. No state ID or driver's license. Driver's license. State ID. Taxpayer, column 2, radio button check. No state ID or driver's license.
Okay.
Radio button not check. Driver's license.
And I can select which one I want. In the fields for, let's see,
Radio
actually,
button check. No state ID. Radio button not check. Driver's license.
I'm
Radio
gonna
button not check. State ID.
add state ID just for a second so you guys can hear how this works.
Row 3, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's driver license edit as autocomplete blank.
Taxpayer's driver's license.
Row 4, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's license issue date edit as autocomplete selected.
License issue date.
Selection removed. Row 5, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's license issue date edit as autocomplete selected. Row 6, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's state ID is without an expiration date. Column row 5, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's license issue date edit submenu as autocomplete. Column 1, expiration date of license or state ID.
Again, the fields have the same label, even though one is for the issue and one is for the expiration. Go ahead and change those to make sure it's more clear, but otherwise this field looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and disable this because I don't have the ID numbers that I need. But I just wanted to share that tip so that if UltimateTax is watching this video, you guys have some more tips in terms of making this more accessible.
Out of table with clickable mobile return.
Alright, so let me go ahead and I just went to the wrong thing here, so.
Clickable table with 7 rows.
And I just navigated my radio button so I could get to the thing faster.
Column 1, state ID. Driver's license. No state ID or driver's license. Driver's state ID. Taxpayer. Radio button not check. Driver's license. Radio button check. State ID. Row 3, column 1, driver's license. Slash row 2, radio, column 1, driver's license. No state, select 1.
Okay.
No state ID or driver's license. State ID, radio. No state ID or driver's. Row 3, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's driver license edit as autocomplete
Hold
blank.
on.
No state ID or driver. State ID. No state. Row 2, column 1, state ID. Taxpayer, column 2, radio button check. No state ID or driver's license.
There we
Radio
go.
button not check. Driver's license. Radio. Row 3, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's driver license edit submenu as autocomplete. Row 4, taxpayer. Row 5, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's license issue date edit sub. Row 6, tax. Row 7, taxpayer, column 2. Taxpayer's
I'm
driver
just
license
gonna
or
go
state ID
next.
with a no next button. Out of table heading level. Please check the level below that was used to verify the identity of the taxpayer and spouse, if applicable.
Alright, so I believe this is just going to say remote. I'm just going to check
Table with
this.
3 rows and 2. Any government ID. Level 1. Any column 2 radio button check identity verification level 1. Row 2 column 1 level 2 in person. Possession of a valid current primary government picture ID that contains applicant's picture and your address of record or nationality of record. E.G. driver's license.
And you hear how it's reading all of this stuff, right? It's reading it very
For
well.
passport. Column 2 radio button not check identity verification level 2 in person. Row 3 column 1 level 2 remote. Possession of a valid current government ID number and the financial or utility. Account number. E.G. checking savings utility loan or credit card or tax ID confirmed via records of either the government ID or account number. Account level 2 row 2 column 2 radio button not check identity verification level 2 in person.
Now it says identity verification number 2 in person, but then below it says remote. So that could be a little confusing. Let me go ahead and read on so you
Row
understand.
3 account records column 2 radio button not check identity verification level 2 remote.
Remote, okay. So I'm just going to check this last option, but still making sure that this is very clear for users is a very important aspect of accessibility. So I'm just going
Out of
to...
table link alt plus P link alt plus index.
Next. Alright. Let's see what we've got going on next. Again, I'm just waiting for it to load.
Take clickable graphic logo.
Okay.
Clickable is the taxpayer eligible for special processing heading level 2.
Is the taxpayer eligible for special processing? Frankly, I don't really know what that is. I think it's something to do with the military because I researched this yesterday so I could try to figure it out. I'm just going to hit no.
Special processing options. Radio button check none.
None.
Radio button not check former
And
Yugoslavia.
again, everything reads very well.
Radio link alt plus index.
Next.
Table 21 ultimate tax demo 1040 individual admin clickable radio button not check yes radio
All
button
right.
check radio tax can the taxpayer be claimed as a dependent on someone else's return.
Can the taxpayer be claimed as a dependent? No.
Taxpayer radio button not check yes radio button check no is the taxpayer blind?
The taxpayer, in this case, is not blind now. So, of course, if I am preparing my own tax return, I would, of course, check the blind box. But because I'm just doing a fictional tax return, it never mentioned that the client was blind. So, therefore, we can't check that box. Neither can we check the disabled box.
Taxpayer radio button not check taxpayer is blind. Radio is the taxpayer totally and permanently disabled? Radio does the taxpayer want protection plus?
The protection plus, I'm going to check
Taxpayer
no.
radio button not check taxpayer does not want protection. Checked. Link alt plus P link alt plus index.
Next.
21 ultimate cell table 21 ultimate tax demo.
All right.
1040 individual link send ideas. Clickable link skip navigation. Dependents heading level 2. Now let's look at dependents. Generally a dependent is someone who uses not sure whether someone qualifies as a dependent.
So, dependent.
Button help. Are there any dependents? Radio button not check yes. Radio
No.
button check no. Link alt plus P link alt plus index.
Next.
Link alt plus P previous. 21 ultimate clickable table with 8 rows heading level 2 types of income. Now let's look at
All
types
right.
of income to determine which forms you'll have to complete later. Wheel.
So now we're going to look at the types of income. So let me go ahead and look at my sheet again so I can make sure that I have everything that I want to check. So let me get to my sheet.
Document. Address 600 primary occupation. Bookkeeper.
Okay.
Black square John is not married and has no children. Black square John began paying back his student loans.
Began paying back his student loans.
This year he would like to know if he could deduct the $250 he paid in interest. Black square received $1,400 for the economic impact.
Economic impact credit. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind.
Payment. Black square John wants to e-file a return. His PIN is 10. Check if he gets a refund. Additional items to note. Graphic unlabeled graphic.
Again, I don't know the actual income, so we're just going to make up a number.
Help me report on specific amounts on the following during the row 2 checkbox not checked tip income.
Tip income, nope.
Row 3 checkbox not checked rental or royalty income.
No rental or royalty
Row 4
income.
checkbox not checked schedule K1 from any partnerships, S Corp, trust or estates.
No schedule
Row
K1.
5 checkbox not checked farm income from the operation of a farm.
No farm
Row 6
income.
checkbox not checked farm income from the rental of farm property.
No farm property.
Row 7 checkbox not checked alimony income.
No alimony.
Row 8 table with 3 rows and 5 columns caption income. Row 1 column 1 through 2. Column 3 amount. Column 4 tax. Column 5 tax. Row 2 column 1 clickable graphic delete item. Column 2 W2. Column 3 amount edit 0.
Alright, so W2. So, let's just say that he made, I don't know, let's say that he made 50,000. Maybe that's the starting wage for a bookkeeper. I'm just making up numbers, so I'm just going to put 50,000.
4 5 0 0 0 0 5 0 0 5 0 0 0 5 5 0 0 0 0 50,000. 0 row 2 column 4 tax edit selected 0.
And maybe he got, I don't know, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 taken out of tax. No, maybe a little bit more. Let's say that he paid about 15,000 in taxes. Again, these are just random numbers.
5 0 0 0 15,000. Row 2 column 5 tax edit 12 3,456.
Let's say that his, okay, you know what, let's just keep that EIN the same. Basically, that's his employer's tax ID number. Keep that the same.
Row 3 column 1 through 4 combo box collapse add item.
We're not going to add any other items. Actually, let's see.
Add item,
sure.
add W2.
And these are very accessible as well.
1099R. 1099R slash penalty. Business slash 1099 misc. W2G. Interest. Dividends. Interest. Button add.
We're not going to add any
Combo
interest
box
here.
button blank. Out of table link alt plus end next.
Because he didn't actually get interest, like income he had to pay. So we're just not going to put that in here as well. And let's see.
21 open table link 5 link graphic skip navigation links. Asset setting level 2.
Asset.
Next, we ask this to determine which forms you need not if the taxpayer seller otherwise dispose of any of the following during 2021 mark all had applied. Checkbox not check stocks, mutual funds, bonds or other non-business securities. Checkbox not check a personal residence. Checkbox not check rental property.
He didn't mention anything about rental property.
Checkbox not check property related to a business or farm, including land and equipment. Link alt plus keep link alt plus end next.
So next. Okay. So let's see what other
Cell
things
table
we
table
have.
21 ultimate clickable checkbox not check payment of student loan interest. Check.
Yes, he did pay student loan interest.
Checkbox not check schools. Checkbox not check instructors, counselors, principals. Checkbox not check children. Checkbox not check they move in order to be closer to a new job separator. Checkbox not check children. Checkbox not check payment of qualified post-secondary tuition or expenses for the taxpayer, spouse or dependent. Checkbox check payment of student loan interest. Checkbox
Okay,
check
we're good.
February contribution plan. Contributions to any of the following types of retirement plans.
And let me make sure it wasn't saying anything about retirement
Additional items to note.
plans.
Graphic unlabeled graphic. Addition check if he gets a refund. 10,001 and he would like to receive a Black Square payment. Black Square received $1,400 for the economic impact. Deduct the $250 he paid in interest. This year he would like Black Square John began paying back his student loans. Black Square occupant primary address 6th of birthday SSN name. Black Square enter student loan interest. Black Square complete e-file information.
No,
21 ultimate.
I don't think he put anything for his retirement. But let's just say, because I don't know, I'm just going to make up that maybe he put in 2,000 in his IRA.
Land. Checkbox not check star IRA. Checked. Land. Checkbox not check star SEP. Land. Checkbox not link alt plus P previous. Link alt plus end next.
Next. Alright, so now I'm just going to wait for this thing to load. And let's see what other things we have.
1040 individual. Admin. Clickable no notifications right now. List on right now.
Alright,
No next heading.
and went all the way to the bottom.
Clickable adjustments IR plan. Taxpayer. Tradition tax Roth individual retirement account. IRA contributions for 2021. Taxpayer Roth IRA contributions edit 0.
I'm going to put in
Table
2,000.
2000. Roth individual taxpayer contributions to Roth IRAs are not deductible. Roth IRA contributions can be used for the credit. 4. Qualified retirement savings contributions. This credit will be calculated automatically if a taxpayer and / spouse qualifies.
Okay?
Check if you were a full-time student in 2021.
And he didn't say that he was a full-time student. Actually, he might have. But for the sake of accessibility, I'm actually going to check this box because there's actually a problem for accessibility when I check this box. And so when I fill out that form, I want to show you guys what happens. But let me go ahead and check it.
Checkbox not check taxpayer.
It says taxpayer. That's kind of not a great label for that button. I'm sorry, that checkbox. Like taxpayer. So maybe we should say like, I don't know, yes or something just to indicate. Because right now it's like, that's confusing. But I'm going to go ahead and check it because I was just using context.
Checked. Land. Link alt plus keep link alt plus index.
Alright, so let me go ahead and check that. And let's see what else we've got here.
Cell table 21 ultimate tax demo. 1040 individual. Admin.
Okay.
Clickable tax returns. Clickable adjustment student loan interest heading level 2.
Okay, student loan interest.
Student loan interest paid for post-secondary education 23 dot. Taxpayer student loan interest paid for post-secondary education at 0.
$250.
Table 0 0 2 5 5 0 land.
$250.
Link alt plus P link alt plus index.
Okay, I'm just waiting for it to load. Story of our lives, y'all.
Take clickable now that we've noted the types of income. Let's look at possible deductions during 2021 with heading level 2 deductions. Now to the following apply to the taxpayer. Mark all that apply. Checkbox not check medical or dental expenses or payments for health insurance.
Medical or dental.
Checkbox not check sales tax on any large items such as a car or boat. Checkbox not check contributions to charities. Land. Checkbox not check if yes, non-cash. Checkbox not check casualty loss from fire, theft. Checkbox not check personal car or truck expenses for a job or any other job-related expense. Land. Checkbox not check home mortgage interest. Link alt plus and next.
None of these apply to him, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I uncheck all of these.
Cell table 21 ultimate tax demo 1040 individual admin clickable checkbox not check need a taxpayer claim or first time checkbox not check you wish to claim on your own checkbox not check the checkbox apply for the tax before we help you fill in the required forms we need to ask a few more questions mark all that apply checkbox not check eligible for education credits.
Eligible for education credits, yes.
Checked. Checkbox not check payments of over 1,000. Checkbox not check you wish to claim on your own tax return. Checkbox not check receipt of cash and any use.se bonds to pay post-secondary tuition or expenses for the checkbox not check did the taxpayer claim or first time home buyer. Checkbox not check yearly install link alt plus end.
Next, nothing about a first time home buyer credit in 2008.
Cell table 21 ultimate tax demo 1040 individual.
Okay.
Admin.
So let's see what we got.
Clickable list with 6 items dashboard. Clickable out of list tax administrator. Clickable link sent. Clickable visited link skip link save link switch to full link vault. Tax wise on link graphic skip table with 20 row 2 link personal info.
Okay, hold on.
Notifications times heading level 3. Click link alt radio button you need link alt plus end link alt plus link alt you need to prepare one or more state returns.
Do I need to prepare one or more state returns? For this demo, I'm not gonna. Actually, yeah. No, I'm not gonna do state returns because I'll just make this video way too long.
Radio button not check yes. Radio button check no. Link alt plus end next. Link alt radio button not check yes. Do you need to prepare one or more state returns? Link alt plus end next. Do you need radio button? Do you need link alt table with row 21 link print signature row 12 out of link alt plus end next. Clickable tax return out of list clickable link alt heading level estimated refund to taxpayer. Land. How would the taxpayer like to file his return? Land. Radio button check file only. Calculated headed radio button not check paper. Calculated headed read only 12,132. 814 days. $224 must be paid today.
Wow, 12,000. Okay, so it must be a refund. Wow, that's gonna be a big refund. Okay, let's see what other things we have.
Radio button not check paper. Calculated headed read only 12,100. Land. Link alt plus end next.
Next.
21 ultimate tax demo. Clickable link alt plus link alt copyright link alt edit account number edit routing land radio button not check checking. Land information below. If the client would like their refund deposited into a bank account, please enter direct deposit. Land radio button not check checking. Land information heading level link alt plus end next heading level.
He wants a paper check.
Land routing edit account edit link alt plus end next. Link alt edit account edit routing land radio land informative heading link alt plus table row 21 link print row out of link alt plus end heading level. If the client would like their refund deposited into a bank account, please clickable link skip navigation. Visited link skip navigation. Check interview heading level 2. Now that you've completed the required information using the button below. If errors or warnings are found, a button will be provided to go to diagnostics. From there you can. Now,
just because I wanted to see how this process works, I'm gonna go ahead and check this box here.
View all errors. Button check interview.
That way you guys can hear how this works.
Link alt plus P previous. Link go none. Estimated entries. None. Overridden entries. None. Warnings. Unit is registered using the transmit code assigned by custom that will transmit the return 777,007 errors. Heading level 2 check interview results. Errors. 777,777 is not registered. Please check the F on the return and confirm that it represents the F that will transmit the return. If you transmit for multiple F's, each F must be registered using the transmit code assigned by customer support. Please contact customer support if you need assistance.
Of course, I don't have an EFIN right now.
700 errors. Heading level 2 check interview. Errors. 7 F register. You need a warning. None. Overridden entries. None. Estimated entry. None. Link go to link alt plus P previous. Link go to diagnostics. Link alt plus end next.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to next.
Link alt land. Clickable graphic logo. List with clickable tax returns. Clickable print signature. Be sure that you have the taxpayer. Sign all documents which require signatures. Select the print button below to print the signature pages. A successful print is required before the interview may be submitted. Land. Button print signature. Link alt plus P preview. Link alt plus end next. Link alt button land. A success select the print. Be sure heading level link alt plus end. Link alt plus P link alt heading. Be sure select a success land button link alt copyright land.
Of course, I'm gonna be
clickable. When you've completed all the forms, be sure to run diagnostics. That way we can check to be sure you've included all the required information. Land. Thank you for using TaxWise online interview. Link alt plus P previous. Link alt plus end finish.
I'm gonna go finish. Okay.
Land. Clickable list with 6 items dashboard. 21 ultimate tax demo. Clickable mobile returns. Notifications times heading. Clickable listed on the sub below is for the preparer. This information will print and perform. Notes to the client should be belongs to the preparer signing the return time address fax non-paid and signature check the bill IRS yes no designee's name party designee. Do you want to allow another person to discuss his return with a here do not the IRS and has received the CP01 letter of protection pin if the taxpayer and slash spouse is an identity theft victim who has been validated card util or past applicant's picture and the ID mechanism that was used state where license split the euro pin above 8864 4136 attachment required form 5713 form S8283 page 2 and slash appraisal full statement please below will only be used to attach a PDF to the return if you are mailing a paper copy of form 3115 via net spouse's AGI if incorrect taxpayer's original 2020 AGI spouse's original direct debit star available for refiled deposit is available for refiled returns paper returns and product returns debit is available for refiled returns only routing transit number RTN of financial deposit transfer refund respond only to agree to select conditions of the at one I read.
Alright, so I can just read all these bits.
Notifications times heading level 3. Graphic list with clickable mobile or clickable out of list of minutes clickable links and clickable visited link John link switch to link client letters links John Ammons link switch to enter link client letters link client no link diagnostic link printers link check return link send email link text message link save and link clickable federal refund $12,132.
Wow, $12,142. I wish that was my refund. That'd be a big refund.
Loaded forms link clickable link Clickable list with 21 items. Main info. Interview. Button room 1040 W. Button remove 1040 1040 list with out of list with 1 item SCH1 PG2. Out of list with 1 item SCH2 P. Out of list with out of list SCH W. Button copy form. W2 TP demo M. Button 6251 PG1. List with 1 item 62 out of list. Button remove form. 8863 PG2. Button 8888 price. Button remove form. Price. 8879. Price. Button res slash NR summary. Out of list graphic clickables calculated. Edit. Calculated. Edit read only 1040. Edit John.
Now, I want to show you the form because this is a very stark contrast to what the interview mode is like. And I want to show you how inaccessible this is. So I'm just going to press tab to the different fields. Ready?
Page. Edit selected Hammons. Edit blank.
Edit. Now, you may see that, oh, that's accessible. Well, it only is accessible because I already filled it in. It's just using placeholder text and replacing the label. So that's not that accessible, actually.
Edit selected 100, 112, 56, 67. Edit blank. Edit blank. Edit blank.
Edit. So the easiest thing to do here is just make sure all these form fields have labels. That way I can also use the forms mode and the interview mode. It works the same way. Well, except that the forms mode is a lot less accessible for people who are blind.
Edit blank. Edit blank. Edit blank. Edit selected 30,165. Edit 623 Miller RD. Edit 30,001. Edit Rome. Edit GA. Edit test.com. Edit 700. Edit blank. Edit blank.
See? Edit.
Edit 09/25/1978.
I have no idea what any of these mean.
Edit. Calculated. Edit read only 0. Edit bookkeeper. Edit. Calculated. Edit calculated. Edit read only.
No idea.
Edit 0. Edit.
You hear edit.
Edit.
Now,
Notifications times clickable listed on the summary below is belongs address fax no next button. Check the IRS yes no design needs name check the bill as a self proof. Times link heading level 3. Heading left clickable copyright 2022 unit listed on the summary sheet below is belongs address check the IRS yes no mechanism that was used state where license for the statement please check the number and available deposit is available for qualifies for the credit.
I'm just gonna go back up to the top of this.
Name spouse if filing a joint return permanently disabled daytime evening cell phone foreign phone birthday age for federal tax purposes taxpayers and state taxpayer checkbox not checked radio button not checked check radio button not checked radio button not checked radio button checked checkbox not checked checkbox not checked checkbox not checked radio button not checked radio button not checked radio button not checkbox not checked checkbox not checked checkbox checked radio button not checked.
So you see how radio button checked, not checked. Those are not labeled.
Radio checkbox not checked radio button checked.
So
Edit 42 1,000,001 edit demo tax office edit 1500 plaza place 201 edit calculated edit demo prepare edit 0 edit calculated required edit 12,000 calculated edit 0 calculated edit 0.
So what I would say is this software is fairly accessible. There's a couple things that could really be improved, right? Now, I wasn't able to figure out how to add a Schedule C where it would ask me the questions, like if I was going to do business deductions and income. Overall, it was a fairly accessible process. So let's go ahead and wrap up. But before I do, I want to show you guys the tax return center where you can see all your returns. Now, this gets a little bit dicey for accessibility, and I'm going to show you guys what happens.
Graphic list with clickable tax returns.
Click on this, and it brings up a table, and unfortunately this table is not accessible.
Clickable tax returns. Clickable table blank column 2.
And I'll show you guys what happens.
Blank column 3 clickable first name blank column 8 clickable stage. Row 3 table with 1 rows and column 2 clickable graphic X.
X.
Column 3 clickable graphic V.
V. What are all these tables?
Out of table row 3 column 10. Column out of link create a new return now. No returns were found. Link blank. Page. Edit 1 of 0 at blank. Showing. Table with 1 column 2 clickable graphic V. Out of table columns out of table copy heading level 3 notifications. Click of table column 1. Out of table items per page.
Of course there were 0 items, right? But you know, I need to be able to view my return. So I would say that we need to work on this table, make sure that the headers and things are working properly for screen readers, but overall, it can be navigated. It's just a little bit clunky. So I want to wrap up this video by talking about my thoughts. I think that UltimateTax is the best tax software if you want to become a blind tax preparer today. I think that they have some work to do in terms of accessibility, but I think that if they are willing to put this work into their product, I think that they could be the ultimate software for blind tax preparers if any want to go ahead and go this route. And I think that accessibility is super important, and because others don't want to take this path of being accessible, I think that UltimateTax is going to have the best spot in this market. I also think that other tax preparers who see that UltimateTax wants to make their product more accessible may want to jump on the bandwagon, and they might want to bring their practices to UltimateTax for the fact that it's accessible for others, and that's kind of what I'm seeing right now in tax Twitter. So overall, UltimateTax is a great software, and just a couple things that need to be improved, but they're really minor overall, so definitely workable, and it's a whole heck of a lot better than a lot of the other options like Drake and Lastert and ProConnect and all the others. I mean, ProConnect literally had no fields labeled whatsoever, so that's not very helpful. Whereas this had most things labeled. There's just a couple things that need a little bit of improvement, but if they're willing to improve it, I think it's the best software out there. So that's kind of my thoughts, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. And if you guys know anyone that would like my channel, where I have my podcast and I also do videos like this, as someone who is a blind bookkeeper and soon-to-be tax preparer, go ahead and share it with your friends, because I want to get more subscribers and I want to build awareness that blind people can do taxes and they can do bookkeeping. And I think that with a lot of different things that I'm going to be doing, I think that I'll be showing off what I can do. So, that's also something that I want to talk about is how I do it. Because there's not a lot of blind people who think that they can do bookkeeping and or tax. So that's kind of what I want to do. So again, if you guys have anyone that you think would like this channel, go ahead and share the video. But otherwise, folks, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the day. But have a great New Year, everyone, and we'll talk soon.